Yo, what's going on, fellas? How we doing tonight? Rev? Bro,
What's
I
up,
said it
man?
before we went live. You're as 90s as it could ever possibly be. You got the wrestling shirt on. You got the backwards hat, man. Like straight out of the 90s, bro. You got like Jinkos with the chain wallet on down there, man.
Oh, I never wore Jenkos, bro. Never. But I'm a '80s kid, man. I'm an '80s kid. But I had to rock my Ultimate Warrior shirt tonight. You know what I'm saying? Since football's out, depressingly,
Yeah.
my team is gone. My team is gone. So
On
yeah,
to the
we're gonna
next.
we're gonna hit it up old school, man. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing fantastic tonight. Running late, admittedly, like you guys, I've talked about it before. I do the kickboxing and like completely lost track of time with the open mat tonight. So I'm slacking my hair. Like if you see my hair, like it's straight from there. I stink. I smell bad. But we're here. Be glad you can't smell me. But speaking of people whose teams are eliminated, just Eric with us tonight, man. Tell me, what do you think of
Sadly,
NFL refs, man? Are you a big fan of NFL refs?
man, I'm definitely not a fan of NFL refs. That I think just in general, man, the refs have got to get better. I'm not like a person to make a bunch of excuses and blame the game on the refs because I think the Bengals still did have a chance despite the terrible referee job that they did. But I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I don't think the refs took over the game. Like I'd be lying. The last play came down to a penalty, or else it was a 60
Mm,
yard kick. So they got to get better. And I mean, look, they need to hire full time refs, right? These guys are math teachers, science teachers, doctors, attorneys, and their part time job is refereeing. So it doesn't mean enough. You know what I'm saying?
Well, as a
so
Cowboys
other
fan,
other than the refs, though,
go ahead, ref.
yeah, other than the refs, though, how'd you feel about the game? I know that it didn't go the way that you wanted it to, obviously, but what was your thoughts on the game just itself?
Man, I thought the team was extremely sluggish, man. I think they started
Yeah,
slow. I think the Chiefs had a good plan, especially when Tyler Boyd went out. But man, in reality, man, I just think the team started slow. They had opportunities.
yeah.
They had two drives with 8 minutes left, right? They had the one at the 7 minute mark and then the one at 2 minutes to actually go ahead and win the game, and they didn't get it done. Um, I think definitely proud of the team and where they kind of where they got to the divisional round. It's tough to get back to the AFC Championship. It's tough to get back to the Super Bowl after doing it the year before. And honestly, man, they were a player or two away from punching that ticket to the Super Bowl. It doesn't do anything for the team, right? Because you didn't win, you lost, you're going home. But from like a fan perspective, I think there's something to kind of pull from that. You know what I'm saying? Going forward to the future, because that was a pretty good sign, man. I hate the way they played. I didn't think they were sharp. I thought it was probably one of the worst games they played this season outside of the Steelers and Cowboys game. I thought the Cowboys did a phenomenal job and Micah Parsons took over, but they just didn't look in sync at all at any point in the game. And you talk about three offensive line missing, which you don't want to blame it on injuries, but it caught up to him. You know what I'm saying? It definitely caught up
Mm.
to him, and it showed in that game.
Yeah, I kind of felt
Yeah,
like
I
I
agree.
said
They
that early
definitely
on in
looked
the
sluggish.
early on in the Chiefs, yeah, against the Chiefs. I was like, man, they seem like they showed up and we're just like we can roll our helmets out here and beat this team. And I'm like, it's Patrick Mahomes on the other side, guys. Like you're not gonna just beat him easily. Um, the refs played their part. You talked about having two chances at it, and boy, that holding penalty you guys got on that 2 minute drill, or I think it was just over 2 minutes when you guys caught that holding penalty. And
Mhm.
if we're going to talk about refs, that hold was not nearly as egregious as a lot of the ones going on for the guys in red, especially on that last play. I know you saw it as a Bengals fan, that blatant hold when Patrick Mahomes first started to scramble. I'm like, how do you not call that? He
Yeah,
doesn't
third
get
and
away
four.
if not for that hold. Like
Right.
that, man,
Man,
it's tough, tough, tough,
look,
tough.
I like Tony Romo. I see the jersey in the background there. You know what I'm saying? I see Tony back there, man. But it's Carl Mahomes, Michael Jordan. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, when it's like a pro chief broadcast, and then you watch the game, and
Absolutely.
it's like, what the hell, man? I mean, you guys
Yeah.
don't see this hold? You guys don't see the block in the back on a punt? Like,
Mhm.
it just seems like, and I'm not, look, I know Mahomes is the golden child. I know the Bengals had opportunities to win it. But I'm just saying, if you're going to call the game, just call it
Yeah.
right down the middle.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Calls
saying?
got to
I
go
think
both ways. They got to go both ways.
Yeah, home field advantage is a real thing, but home field advantage doesn't mean you get all the calls. It just means, the noise, maybe it's a little bit difficult on the road to communicate. Not necessarily Joe Smo throwing a flag to put you in field goal position with 3 seconds on the clock,
Yeah, holds drive me nuts in the NFL because it's like a lot of NBA games. They just don't call it evenly on both sides. Like, if you're going to call holds, call holds. Otherwise, just don't call them. Like, just let them all go then. Like, calling them one way, and it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, Rev, the Cowboys are always on the losing end of that one. Like, Micah Parsons, I feel like, gets held every dang play, but doesn't ever get called. But the second we, armbar somebody, it's a hold on us every time. Am I wrong, Rev?
No, I mean, I was going to tell Eric, because this experience, it's hard enough that you're playing the Chiefs, right?
Right.
Like, man, this is a rivalry. Like, you guys been taking it to them the past 3 games, but that you can't take them lightly because anytime the tide can turn, you know how important this game is. And so you don't need any outside help, especially from the refs,
right?
Going towards the other team. And as Cowboy fans, like real Cowboy fans, we understand what it is as far as penalties and refs and things like that. Believe it or not, the Cowboys have always been at the top of the list, no matter who the coach is, at the top of the list concerning penalties.
Yeah.
And so I don't know
Weird.
what it is. America's team, there's more. It's always a bigger game because of it, and so penalties are just a major factor. And when you see people like Micah Parsons calling it out, you know what I'm saying, and he's going, I don't even care anymore. Like, players do not care anymore. Like, you guys are not doing your job. I heard Sherman talk about this past weekend as the worst weekend of officiating football that he's ever seen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so, truthfully, I don't know if I can fully agree. At the same time, I will say this, Eric, and again, I'm not trying to make you upset or anything because I know this hurts bad enough. Some of those penalties did not affect, like, the extra play. You know what I'm saying? They gave them an extra play, right? That third down.
Yeah.
They still got to stop. And then I'm trying to remember the other play, the intentional grounding. You know what I'm saying? As bad as that was an intentional ground. I was like, what are you talking about? like Perrin is or Pirine is right there.
Well, did you hear
enough
what
to where
did you hear Dean Blandino said? He's like, the receivers went vertical, that's why it's
He
intentional
said there was
grounding. I'm like,
no
no,
one
it's
in the area.
not. He turned around, he's
No.
looking at the quarterback. Like,
He's
absolutely
looking,
not.
They said it was no one in the area, and then they play the replay back. You see the guy right there. You're like, sir, you're just going to lie to me. And you want me to take it.
So as bad as that play was, 3rd and 16, and then you still get the first down. You know what I'm saying? So as bad as some of those penalties were, at the end of the day, that holding call they didn't call 3rd and 4 with Mahomes, and there was just so much inconsistency, and it don't help, like you said. Romo loves Mahomes, man.
Yeah.
Just you can just hear it all over his voice, and I'm just going, dang, bro, that just don't sound good. And I'm a fan of Romo, football wise, but even announcing wise, I think he's the best in the game as far as how he can dissect each play. And of course, CBS is just all over him right now, so he's in kind of a hot water right anyway. But yeah, you could just hear it all over the game Sunday. You're just like, man, this game is too big for you to be choosing sides, especially in
Michael
announcing.
Jordan.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on, bro.
I got a lot of respect for Tony and what he's done for the game. I feel like he could improve as a color analyst if he just focused on just focus on the game. I mean, you can talk about the players and stuff like that, but when you compare Mahomes to Michael Jordan multiple times, people don't want to hear that. Not over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like we've heard it before. But yeah, man, to your point, I think penalties are a part of the game, and I don't think penalties. I think they played a big part in this game, but the Bengals still had opportunities. despite there
Yes.
being penalties. And when you have opportunities, you got to get the job done. The one thing I will say, man, is I almost felt like when you go back and you look at the week prior when we played the Buffalo Bills, right? The offensive line, of course, looked a lot better because they were playing in the snow, man. I'm just going to tell you what it was. Like, I think the snow 100% neutralized that Buffalo Bills pass rush, and they came into this game thinking that it was sweet, right? But if you go back and you watch the Buffalo Bills game, there was a fumble, an obvious fumble that they didn't call on that Josh Allen had. And then the touchdown to Jamar Chase in the back of the end zone that they
Oh
didn't
yeah.
call. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
if this game
real?
was close, the Bengals would have been screwed. And I'm just like, these guys probably like talked too much, I think, this year. And some people took notice, man. I don't know, like I'm not saying like people were out to get them. I'm just saying like when you talk, I don't know if I can curse on this broadcast, so I won't. But when you talk, at such a level, you need to be able to not keep games close. Because if it is close and it's coming down to the wire, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get screwed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it caught up to him, man. It's a valuable lesson, I think, for those guys because the team's still young. So hopefully they learn a lot from it.
Do y'all think they're going to go ahead and pay Burrow this offseason? What are your thoughts on getting some of these contracts going?
I think they'll pay Burrow, get him done this offseason. I think Ian Rappaport was saying that they're ready to go. They have the money to do it, and they're ready to pay him. So I think they'll get that
whatever
done.
he wants. Give him whatever he wants.
Yeah, man. Blank checkbook.
Right.
I think they do the Mahomes deal, the 10-year.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at Mahomes' contract. I know he got it done like maybe 2-3 years ago, but he got like 10 years, $400 million, $124 million guaranteed. And if you're the Bengals, that's how you want to structure Burrow's contract. You want to do it 10 years,
Long.
freaking
Yeah.
$450 million, guarantee $175 million, call it a wrap. Then you can kind of restructure as time goes on and things like that. And the cap's going to continue to increase because football is like the best sport on earth.
In 8 years,
what I'm
$40 million
saying?
a year for a quarterback is going to be dirt cheap.
It's going to be dirt cheap, bro.
Yep.
What's the cap going up to, Coach? This upcoming year.
Was it 224? I think it was 224.
224. Yeah. So that's helpful. I want to say I saw on Twitter that the Bengals this upcoming season are going to be like 20 mil, under cap. So y'all are still a young team.
About 44
And
million.
yeah, I mean, get some of these contracts done and keep building through the draft. That's kind of been what we've been doing as Cowboy fans, but for
You don't
y'all,
have Joe Burrow.
this is your window. Yeah, but this is your
the window,
window.
bro.
You know what I'm saying?
This is
The
the
rookie
window,
window,
Mhm.
right?
This is
So,
the
and
window.
you guys are close.
Yeah, man. Get that deal done with Burrow. You got the rookie deal still in place, so you might be able to live on these next 2 years on the rookie deal. Plus this year, the coming year, and the next year, still the rookie money, and then after that, his contract will go into effect. The big time money will go into effect. So this is the window, man. Draft some people in the trenches. Make sure you bring in some skill guys. You're gonna have to replace Jesse Bates.
Yeah,
Try to
I was about to
retain
ask
Don
about
Bell, and then keep it going, man. I'm seeing the news about T. Higgins that's swirling out there like his contract is up this year, but that's not the case. He's still in a rookie year deal. Hopefully they get a deal done with him. I think he wants to be in Cincinnati based on the things that I know, right? So
Who
I
wouldn't
think
want to
this-
play with Burrow,
man.
right? I mean, if you're a receiver.
who wouldn't want? I'm not trying to be funny, but who
Right.
wouldn't want to play with Joey B?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even if he leaves, it's
Yeah.
like there's going to be guys like, hey, look, I want to go play with Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking
So
of
I
those
was-
rookie contracts, Rev, I was reading about it this weekend, or something pointed it out. I shouldn't say I read it. I was reading about it that 3 of the 4 final quarterbacks were on rookie deals: Purdy, Hurts, Burrow. So just to back up,
that's crazy.
emphasize what you were saying about in the window with those rookie deals. 3 of the 4 final teams, and Mahomes, who's a different animal, right? But 3 of the 4
Right.
are on rookie deals right there, and they've built around them in those rookie deals. So
Well, Micah said something about that, and they took that as a jab towards Dak.
Yeah.
And Micah was just like, "Nah, bro. Like, That ain't Michael's style. He don't throw players, even players that he should hate. He don't even
Lane
throw them
Johnson.
under the bus. So yeah, it's like Cowboy fans are mad everywhere because he's like he's a fan of Lane Johnson. It's like, you ain't supposed to do that, but I understand the brotherhood and stuff like that. Let me ask you this, Eric. Do you think? And I've talked to Cable about this as well, and he has a different opinion. But do you foresee the Bengals going to sign Higgins and Chase?
That's a good question, man. A lot of people think that they'll get the deal done with T. I saw when the reports came out today on Twitter from Don Cleveland, who we don't even know if this guy's a real person, right? He just kind of tweets and no one's ever seen him. But I don't know, man. It's going to be tough, right? Because I think T. Higgins demands Terry McLaurin money. I think that you could pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is, I think, a couple of years down the road, right? This is his second year. So technically, you'd have at least 2 more years on Jamar Chase's rookie deal before you have to extend him.
Or even franchise tag.
Yeah, and they get the 5th-year option, right? Because he was a first-round draft pick.
Yep.
So
Right.
Jamar Chase is, that's a little bit down the road. I think 2 years down the road at the very least. Man, I think they could keep them all. But for me, if it was me, right, depending on how the contract or what he wants, I'd play through this year with him, man, and maybe let him move on or tag him and then trade him. Unless you guys can come to a deal and it's not putting the team in the bad spot to build, right? Because I think the Bengals can, I like T. Higgins. I think he's a great player, but I think they can be good without T. But I do think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, that duo, makes the team very special. But if you don't have O-line, man, it doesn't matter when it comes to the big one. I mean, you can be a good team all the way up until you get to the AFC Championship, but if you don't have the line to protect it, that game, I'm not saying everything you did before that was a wash, but it kind of feels like it. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, you either better have pass protection or you better have weapons on the outside.
yeah,
You better have
exactly.
one or the other. And that
Yeah.
was the thing with the Cowboys is, our line was getting depleted. 3 starters on the O-line this year, even getting, hurt. And then our weapons just, we don't have the weapons. Like, if you would have saw the original receivers coming in, and we've talked about this, Coach, you would just laugh at it. You're just like, none of these dudes other than CeeDee Lamb has ever even scored an NFL touchdown. And this is what we're going to the table with. So,
Rev, let me ask you something.
I
I forgot that I wanted to ask you this right there before you move on from this point. Would CeeDee Lamb, and I forget, one of the big talking heads asked this question. Would CeeDee Lamb start for the Bengals?
I don't know, man. Like here's the thing. Okay, so the Bengals, and Eric, you can, because we watch football. We study tape, watch football, right? I'm looking at the Bengals. I'm seeing that they run a lot of personnel 11. So 3 receivers on the field. So in that case, I say CD probably starts definitely over Boyd. As far as Chase and Higgins, I mean, it's just whatever you want to do. Like, if you want to do short stuff, screen stuff, man, I mean, CD,
So he's
CD
a number
and Chase
3
are
is
your
what you're
guys.
saying.
On that team, maybe.
What about the Eagles?
But again,
Does he
dude,
start
I
for the
think
Eagles?
he's starting. Oh yeah, I think he's starting. And in fact,
Over who?
somebody was
Smitty?
arguing that point. Oh, Smith? Oh yeah, bro. Take your Bama boy out. No offense. I know that hurt your feelings, Coach. I saw somebody on there arguing about Deebo Samuel and CeeDee Lamb. And don't get me wrong, Deebo is dynamic as a playmaker, but CD is a dynamic playmaker, and he is a receiver. And
so that was tough because CD can't do what Deebo can.
No,
But Debo's not as good a pure receiver, I think, as CeeDee Lamb. So that's a tough comparison between those two.
But if you saw the stats, like if you put the stats up, no player face, you just laid up stats, numbers. Oh, CD blows them away, bro. It's not even close. And
He doesn't blow the Eagles, though, if you're just looking at paper.
No. But this is the first year that they have done that. You know what I'm saying? AJ's coming in. Smith is having his first great year. Like the Eagles roster is bar none, maybe the best in the entire league. So I mean,
Eric, what do you think
I
from an
know
unbiased?
they're
Obviously, we have biased Cowboys
yeah.
points
I'm
of
a
view
hater,
over here.
bro. I'm
What
a
do you
hater.
think?
So
CeeDee Lamb starts for the Eagles or the Bengals?
I think CD would be our number 3. 100%. Yeah, I like I like Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd's one of the best slots in the game. Very underrated. But I think I like CeeDee Lamb a lot, man. I liked him coming out of Oklahoma. I thought he was a really good receiver. Very good route running, smooth. I think really he just needed to be the guy. You know what I'm saying? To really get going, man. But on the Eagles, the Eagles is the 3 receiver. I don't know who number 3 is for the Eagles. If I'm being honest, is it Quez Watkins? I don't know who it is. Might be Quez. He's 100% the number 3, and he could challenge Smitty for the number 2. I think for sure, man. I think Devontae Smith is really good. I haven't watched a lot of Devontae Smith in the NFL this year, but I know he's been coming on lately. But I think what A.J. Brown has done with the Eagles, man, I think, he's been great.
He's not starting over A.J. Brown. There's no way he's starting over A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I don't think he's starting over A.J. But potentially, definitely, he could push Smitty. And he might be able to push T. Higgins, right? But I just think T. Higgins, what he does for the Bengals offense is a little bit different. T's 6'4", very long arms. He can go to the top shelf and get it where the kids can't get it. And you saw that in that touchdown on the Chiefs where there's 2 people right there. He just catches it over both, unfazed.
How close is it?
A lot.
How close is Higgins to Chase? Like in your mind, because you know better than all of us.
Yeah.
And they both do 2 different things. So you're looking at long term who you want to keep. I mean, man, you want to keep T. Higgins. You know what I'm saying?
You want to keep them both, man. T's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah, he
man.
is.
I think T's really good. But honestly, man, and a lot of people will debate me on this. A lot of people will say, hey, look, we got 2 number 1s. They're right there neck and neck. Ja'Marr Chase is different. Like, the dude's just different, bro. Like, he's just a dog. Like, his mentality's different. He plays different. Like, the dude's he's just a dude, man. And they just got to, I think for the Bengals, man, it really kind of starts up front because what you saw, like I'm not trying to deviate or anything like that, but what you saw in the Chiefs game, man, is everybody doubles Ja'Marr Chase, man. He like hardly ever gets one-on-ones anymore. And that's after his rookie year, right?
So what does that do for T. Higgins?
So in some situations, T will have, one-on-one opportunities, but even in this Chiefs game, they double-teamed T when Tyler Boyd went out. Because we didn't have a number 3 that could really win. We had Trent Irwin. One-on-one, I think he was going against Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie, man, great corner out of Washington. And I actually I wanted him to be a Bengal. But yeah, man, I think, I think Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins are both great receivers in their own right. But to me, I just think Ja'Marr Chase is top 5 receiver. The guy missed 4 games and still put up 1,000 yards. He missed 4 games, you know what I'm saying, and still put up 1,000 with ease. I just think the kid is different, man.
Yeah, Ja'Marr Chase.
So if you were to do, Coach, and maybe we can do this real quick, top 5 receivers in the league, and maybe just your top 5 receivers. So
it sounds like you've got 5 ready to go. I mean, if you've got it, let me think for a second while you do yours, man.
Well, I don't know if I got it, but I'm just throwing out, like, if I was going to build a team, who's my 5, right? Who's my 5?
Well, and there's always the discussion, like, are we playing one game with this guy, or are we starting a franchise?
No, I'm just saying, this is your team. You want to have your receivers, and you have your pick. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do a fantasy lotto draft in Madden. And what guys are you going to put on your squad? And I don't see how you do 5 receivers without Ja'Marr Chase. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I think
he's in there.
You're taking Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill over him. I think if I'm playing a game of Madden tomorrow and I'm fantasy drafting, I'm taking Justin Jefferson. I'm taking Tyreek Hill. I mean, Devontae Adams maybe, AJ Brown maybe. I feel like Adams, Brown, Chase
I would
probably in
I
that
would
same
I
group
wouldn't
right
have
there.
Brown. I wouldn't have AJ Brown.
I mean,
That's
1,500
just me
yards,
though.
11 touchdowns is tough to argue with.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, man, I think Devontae Adams to me is like the best route runner in the league. I still got D Adams over there.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Big
have,
time.
but if I'm being honest though, man, I do have Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek's pretty good, man. He's got he's almost went for, I don't know if he went 2K or not, but he almost did. If he did,
1,707 touchdowns. I got it up
he
right
could have
here.
went for 2K if they had some health.
Yeah.
And then I truly, and I'm not even trying to be like biased, man. I just know that this kid is different, dude. Jamar Chase is different. If I'm like picking receivers and I'm starting today, and I got a perfect O line, and I got Joey B at quarterback, I'm saying, hey, give me Jamar Chase, maybe give me Tyreek Hill because he's super fast, and then I don't know who the third guy would be, but
It's got to be Justin Jefferson, right? Like I feel like
it'd be Jettas, honestly. Yeah, I mean, dude, it'd be Jettas, and hell, Jamar Chase and Jettas played together at LSU, and they were killing it.
Oh, I'm an
They
Alabama
moved the
fan.
game.
I'm aware. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like my top four consistently is those guys that we just talked about. Adams, Jets, Tyreek, and Chase. You know what I'm saying? Those four,
Yeah.
you can't have a top five without those four. As far as who
100%.
the fifth is, I don't know. I don't know who my fifth is. I just don't know because it's changed year by year. Yeah, AJ had a good year this year, and he was good before, but like these other guys have been consistent year in and year out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel. Like, is AJ going to be that same guy next year? I mean, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'd
Is
have no
CD going to
issues
be
putting
better?
AJ at
Is
5,
T.
man.
Higgs?
If you put AJ at 5 behind those 4, I have no issues with that. That's perfectly good with
Yeah.
me.
Me neither.
One thing about the Eagles, though, right? We got to, and I'm not trying to take anything away from these guys. They have a phenomenal run game. We're like, the Eagles' run game is really good, right? And
Dude,
like
AJ's by himself every time.
every single time, bro. He's
Every
got
time.
one-on-one
So,
matchups, man.
yeah, I don't
And I think
see-
that's the thing, man. For me, I'm like, look, I like AJ Brown. I think he's a great receiver. The run game creates so many mismatches for the defense that they have to stack the box. Those guys get one-on-one opportunities, man. I like wish for one-on-one opportunities for Jamar Chase the entire season. Please,
Yeah,
just
bro.
No,
play
Burrow's
single
got to
high.
back shoulder it into double coverage to get Chase
Yeah, man.
catches.
No one plays the Bengals without two high safeties.
Let me ask you this, Coach, because we're Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we are biased. It's okay, but Amari Cooper with the Cowboys, as far as last year goes, could he slip in there that top 5?
So I have an issue with I always do with Cowboys receivers, and I think it's because I watch every snap, every catch, every drop, every effort that they have, right? And so I think I tend to overanalyze them. So I think if anything, my Cowboys bias works against our receivers. Like I feel like CD's lazy sometimes, right? And especially with his catches. I think some of the interceptions that Dak had this year because CD was lazy on his
him.
routes,
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
like do other receivers do that too? And I just don't watch them nearly as much as I watch ours. Like Amari Cooper would drop balls in critical moments of games constantly. And
Yeah.
maybe I just saw that because I saw all those critical moments and saw him drop them, and other receivers do it too. So that's just a long-winded way of saying no. I don't think that I would put them in the top 5, Rev.
Yeah. I'm with you, Eric, as far as these top guys, you double team every time they're on the field. That's how you know they're the top guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the consistently every year, and that was something with CD this year, is they're doubling him this year, and yet he's still
no other
popped
receivers
off.
out there.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching the Niners game. There's nobody else catching the ball, and he's still catching 10 and putting over 100 yards. And so, like, obviously Dak can trust him, but I'm just looking at who these guys are. T. Higgins, that was the thing with Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper got doubled all the time. All the time he got doubled. So then we said, well, CD is not getting doubled, and so that's that means he's getting the one-on-one matchup. T. Higgs, he's living off of Jamar Chase. You know what I'm saying? You know that. He's enjoying that. And when Jamar Chase was hurt, that was the opportunity for T. Higgs to step in there and be the number one guy, and did a good job.
And did a good job. Step up, man. I mean, I think T, to be 6'4", he runs routes really good, man. And he's seen double teams. He got doubled against the Chiefs in the championship round. And when Jamar Chase went out, it was a somber moment for the Bengals faithful, right? And T. Higgins stepped up, man. I think he posted back-to-back 100-yard games and showed up the biggest in Tennessee when, at that time, I think they were like 7-5 or 7-4, and they were like a tough team. You know what I'm saying? So, T's a dog, man. I hope we can keep him long term. But I know how the contracts work out, and I know how the business works, and you can't keep everybody. That's why the salary cap exists.
So let me ask this, and let maybe switch gears just a tad. And I know we're talking about this quite a bit, but you got to pay these guys, And at the end of the day, if you got a franchise QB, you got a chance. You know what I'm saying? All you want to do is just have a chance to be in the dance. And so you guys got a franchise guy, A lot of people think for us Cowboy fans, Dak is not that guy. But, man, we've been through the years, you know what I'm saying, Coach? We've been through them years and struggling and not having a QB. Hutchinson. And I love what Michael – yeah, I love what Michael Irvin said. He just told him to shut up. He goes, man, we're in the fight. You just got to appreciate being in the fight. Mm-hmm. And so we've been through the rookie contracts. We're out of it now, right? We're out of the rookie contracts, and now we're having to cut the pie, as Jerry Jones says. We got to cut the pie, figure out where the pieces of pie has got to go. And the question is, if you do got a franchise guy, do you want to strengthen your defense and keep your franchise quarterback, or do you want to go maybe heavy offense and maybe have a weaker defense? You know what I'm saying? How would you want to build your roster? How much more important would it be for you? And this is a question for both of y'all. Would you rather have you got your franchise quarterback, but would you rather have weapons there, or would you rather build your defense, or would you rather running game? Or, you know what I'm saying? You only got so much pie.
Go ahead, Eric.
You only can pay. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Because you're coming up right on that now, Eric.
Yeah, man, we're coming up right on it. For me, strengthen the offense. Get that offensive line stout. Invest a ton of money into the offensive line. Have a number one receiver. Keep that guy. Maybe sprinkle in some good skill guys around there. They don't need to be like phenomenal, right? But I think Burrow and this team could win with a good offensive line and a number one receiver. Just one. I think if you have some other guys sprinkled in there that can make plays, and like Danny Amendola or Julian Edelman not dropping everything, making the catches when called on. You know what I'm saying?
Consistent number two, yeah.
Exactly. That's all you need, man. And then the defense, man, draft, maybe add a free agent here or there, draft, and then if you get the right coordinator, you have some of the right leaders on defense, those guys will come along. But I think if you're the Bengals, man, you want to really rely on Joe Burrow. You got that franchise guy. Put it on him. You know what I'm saying? Put it on him. That's what you got him for. So that's kind of how I think about it. You need defense. I don't think the Bengals defense is like the steel curtain back in the day, but they get stops when they need to. It's like bend, don't break, right? So that's kind of
the good thing. The good thing for you, Eric, is the Bengals know how to draft, and so they're pretty much hitting on the draft pretty well, and that's I like that answer that you brought, because that makes sense for your team. You know what I'm saying? When you know the identity of what you're doing. What are your thoughts, Coach?
So before I give my opinion on it, I'll tell you what the Cowboys do, and they kind of let it come to them, right? However they can come about talent. They don't seem like they have some grand master plan that, hey, we're going to surround Dak with tons of talent and go at it. We kind of hit the draft and we take the best player available. And Will McClay. Will McClay is Eric. I don't know if you know, but he's the guy that handles the draft for the Cowboys.
Okay.
Our GM of the draft, if you will. Excellent dude. We have great draft picks because of him. I always say, like, if anybody offers him a GM role, Jerry needs to just double whatever they're willing to pay him to come be their GM.
Jerry needs to fire himself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But so we don't have a master plan, right? We don't go out there and we're like, okay, we've got Dak, let's surround him with as much talent as possible. If you look at the guys out there, they were all drafted by the Cowboys, right? I mean, I know we had T.Y. Hilton and stuff at the end trying to plug holes, but Michael Gallup, C.D. Lamb, Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz, Pender Snot, they're all guys we drafted. So like we're not going out there and trying to fill roles. We're picking players where we deem them appropriate. And just like on defense, we took Micah because that's
Homegrown.
where we thought it should be, and we took Tyler Smith this past year because that's where we saw the value, and we just kind of let it come to us. Is that the right answer? I mean, we're a final 8 team.
They love homegrown.
They do. We're a final 8 team, so I mean, it's not
homegrown.
like it's an awful plan. Does it help your quarterback who? I mean, I'll be honest, Dak is no Burrow. Like, he's not going to go out there and he's going to win you the games on your own. So maybe it is the right plan to go around with Dak. But I'm with you a little bit there. If you have a guy that you think is your quarterback, right? You think you've got a franchise guy that can go win you a Super Bowl, I think you surround him with as much talent as possible. So, like, I go out this season and I try to get a good T. Higgins, get us a T. Higgins, right? A number 2 over there that can catch the balls when we need him to. Hopefully better than a consistent number 2. We need somebody to take the pressure off CD. It's well known on this podcast, my thoughts of Zeke Elliott. So get him talent around him so that we can go score points rather than kind of letting it come to us. Have a plan out there to make Dak better. And in today's NFL, that makes your team better. Rev, we've both weighed in on this now. What do you think? How are you approaching this?
Well, you got to know the identity of your players. I think that's why, and maybe the next thing that we begin to talk about, maybe coaches. I think Kellen Moore, for us, was out of touch with who his quarterback was. It's like, for a coach, you got to know your players. If Joe Burrow is my quarterback, I'm not going to make Joe do stuff that is outside of Joe.
Little triple option.
It just doesn't make sense to make Joe, like, Joe is good at what he does and the players that he has, receivers that he has. And here's the thing, if the Bengals decide to move on from some of these weapons on offense, either way, Eric, I think you're good, brother. I think you're good because Joe is good. You know what I'm saying? So, I trust in Joe. I trust his ability to elevate players, and make them better. And so for us, you got somebody like Dak, and you know what, I've been saying this over and over again. Dak's a football player. In Mississippi State, he was a football player. He wasn't just a quarterback. Yeah, he had the quarterback position, but the dude had the worst throwing mechanics you ever seen.
He was their best running back.
But he was a football player. He went out there and just took the game and put it on his shoulders and just went out there and won games. And he dominated in the SEC and was fun to watch. And so, he comes into the league, and I tell you what, he works. Like, his worth ethic, as far as a player goes, it is top. It is top. You will never doubt his work ethic, his belief in himself, his confidence. These are all intangibles that Dak has. His ability to be a pure thrower of the ball. He's not a Joe Burrow. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. That's not his game. That's not who he is. And so what Kellen Moore has done coming in with him is creating him to be this pocket passer. And to be honest with you, Coach, it drives me nuts. It's like, let this guy run. Let him run play action. Let him get outside the pocket and throw the ball on the move and everything else. Let's stop doing this 3-step drop back and everybody run curls and all these things. It's like you see the Eagles offensive scheme, and what are you going to do with Hurts? You know what I'm saying? Is Hurts this amazing quarterback as far as a thrower of the ball? Heck no. Like, that's not who Hurts is. And so to make Hurts to be that guy, that's what we have done with Dak. Now, Dak is such a worker that he has elevated his passing game, and he's actually not bad, but he still makes dumb throws, and he'll lose you games and things like that. And it's just like, you just got to know your players to where put in the scheme, put in the fit to help him win games. And at the end of the day, I think if you give Dak Prescott a running game, you beef up that line, you give him a good running game as far as they can run that play action and those things like that. I tell you what, the guy's going to win you ball games. He is. I trust in that. And so that is who your franchise guy is, right? That's how I would build my team around is I would beef up the running game, and I would run the dang ball, man. I'd run the dang ball and let Dak do his thing on the ground as well.
All right. Somehow we always turn it to Cowboys, Eric. I don't know if you noticed this, but every conversation that happens, we're going to twist it around and we're going to talk about the Cowboys.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you what. I 100% agree with you on getting Dak a running game, man, and keeping that consistent. I know Tony Pollard, he had the injury, which I hated to see that for him, but you just get a strong running game around Dak, man, and kind of, play off of that running game. Dak will be just fine, man. He is football guy. You know what I'm saying? I think it does start there. You don't want to be, I think with any quarterback, really, you don't want to be throwing 40, 50 times a game. I mean, the Chiefs will do that. You know what I'm saying? But I even think with Joe, I think he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the game, but our deficiencies in the offensive line doesn't allow us to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They can key off and go right after you.
That's it, man. You got to know your players. You got to know your team. Right? I mean, you got to know what is our weakness, what is our strength, and how can we alleviate pressure off this guy. Let's make it as easy as possible, Well,
speaking of knowing your team, Rev, hang on, Rev, real quick. Yeah. So Rev knows, and I told you this beforehand, I like to drop hot takes on our guests immediately, get them talking right away. And so here we are. We've been on for 48 minutes, something like that. We haven't even met you yet, Eric. Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do. Tell us everything we need to know that we should have asked you 48 minutes ago, man.
Yeah, man. I'm just a guy. I'm not really anything special, man. I got the Twitter page. I'm a guy who loves football and loves to talk about football. And I'm on the Cincinnati podcast. You can find it on my link in my bio on Twitter. That's kind of where That's really where I'm really at. Just Eric __. That's it, man. I'm just a guy who loves football, who played football, growing up and at the college level, and I love it.
Where'd you play college ball at, Eric?
Miami, Ohio, and then a smaller Division II school, man. So I kind of played around. So I even went to JUCO as well too. So I kind of seen a little bit of everything.
What
position did you play?
I played safety and linebacker.
Okay.
So, when you're young, they say the guys who play safeties in high school move to linebackers and et cetera. Linebackers in high school move to defensive line. Yeah, man. So I love the game, and I think playing football, like I always watch the Bengals, right? But playing for so long, I kind of got to the point to where I was like kind of almost like burnt out because I was like doing it every single day. Wake up, lift, film, school. You know what I'm saying? And then kind of getting away from it, it kind of like reignited that flame. And I understand it to a different level now. So, yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I talk about Bengals all day, and that's kind of it. I'm working on some things. Honestly, I think I got something pretty cool, man, that I got in the works right now that hopefully I can share pretty soon. But
so tell me about this real quick with your Twitter podcast or whatever. This is something new for me that I've kind of seen. What does that platform look like? Because I've sat in on some of your podcasts and things like that, and it's more audio, I guess, driven. You have a bunch of different hosts or speakers that you can come and, I thought it's kind of cool. You can kind of come in and maybe you want to share something or add something to the conversation, raise your hand, your little emoji hand. And
yeah,
I don't know. It's just cool, man. So tell me tell me a little bit, about that. How big's your following, those kinds of things. How does somebody maybe get into something like that as far as that platform goes?
Yeah, man. I mean, these days it's very easy to do a podcast. It's kind of based on YouTube. Zem Hude and Ace Boogie, they are like the creators of the Cincinnati podcast. I have a show on there, the 513. It's just me, and I just talk about Bengals, and I come in, and usually like Monday or Tuesdays, I'll talk about what happened the week prior, or what happened in the game, or whatever the case may be. And that's it, man. I mean, you go to YouTube, get the video going. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on a couple. Is it Sprout? I don't know what it's called, something else, but it's on all platforms. It's on Apple as well too. And really, the best way to get started is just to do it. A lot of people talk about what they're going to do or where they're going to do it, and it's got to be perfect. And I know the feeling, because you always feel like it's got to be perfect. I don't want it to suck. I don't want to suck. But sometimes you suck, man. You just got to get going. That's it. That's it. That's just the key.
But you don't, right?
Hey, man, I sucked that. I wasn't good when I first did it, because you're always like cognizant of everything that's going on. You're like, how do I look? Am I speaking good? Am I talking about some good topics? How does it flow? So nobody's perfect to start, man. I'm not perfect, and
I went in there to one of some of your Twitter things, man. You got a good little following going on over there.
Oh, you're talking about the Spaces thing? No,
yeah,
dude, that's like, honestly, man, that's just like a pastime, man. It's like, it's not really like anything even. It's hard to explain, because like I have a ton of followers on Twitter, and when we do a space, people like the Bengals community is awesome, man. Like, if like there's a lot of fan bases on Twitter. Some you may be connected to, some you may not be connected to, so you may not even know it exists. But the Bengals following on Twitter, man, is awesome. We do a space, Game On, myself, and man, 150, 250 people show up. Some of them show up to hate on us. Some of them show up to support, but I mean, you appreciate it all the same, because the numbers are the numbers, So
yeah,
man, Twitter.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool, man. It's fun to see. You kind of go in there, and Coach, I kid you not, like I went in to work. I went into the church, and I'm taking care of some stuff, and I clicked into the space, and I'm listening to Eric and the crew, whoever it was, going at it. Went back and got some other things done, left and whatever, and kind of checked in and saw that he was still going. I get home that afternoon, bro, and Eric is still on going at it, bro. Like it's like been 8 hours, Coach. 8 hours. Like, and the Joker is still going on. I'm going, this guy's going at it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I respect that. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome.
I'll tell you what, I'm not in there like the entire time. I kind of bounce out and come back in, because I usually can't host it, because I take like calls throughout the day, and I gotta like make calls. But yeah, man, I mean, the thing is open literally from like 8 a.m. to like 5. And sometimes they might go to 6 or 7. It's really a time dump, and it's probably not the most productive thing throughout the day, if I'm being honest. But it is an awesome like pastime, man. Because I'll sometimes I'm just like doing spreadsheets, or like doing numbers and stuff like that, right? I'm just kind of listening to it, and it kills time, literally. But it's awesome though, because some people that may have questions, or maybe you would never even interact with them, right? They legit want to know your thoughts about the team, roster moves. Like, we're getting into off season right now with prospects and stuff like that, and people want to know, man. And it's cool to talk to people, because I think the one thing about Twitter is, and not to ramble, there's a lot of people out there, right? I make a tweet, gets quite a bit of interaction, people like it, but I got to be honest, I can't go through all the comments, right? So I may not get a chance to interact with those people, man, because I just can't do it. So it kind of creates that opportunity to communicate with those people.
It's awesome, man.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. Right now, do
Yeah.
you think how bad do you think they would be hitting Dak right now if there was a Cowboys version of this? Would the entire thing be about Dak or just most of it? What do you think, Eric?
That depends on the host. If you control the conversation, right? I told my buddy he's and I hate the Browns, but he's a Browns fan. And I said, because he was asking me about it, I was like, hey, man, look, the one thing, and I got to wrap it up here soon, fellas, if I'm being honest. But the one
you
thing,
go.
the one thing I'll say is, because Twitch, YouTube, and all these platforms are awesome, right? But really, the platforms that you use are like, it's an opportunity to drive an audience, or you're the people to where you want them to get the information from. The one thing about Twitter is like, okay, how am I using this to like bring people to this channel to show them like, hey, look, I have good content. You can learn something here, and it adds some value. So I think that's kind of the cool thing about Twitter. It allows me to drive people to the space and to the YouTube. And if I did Twitch, that too, I don't do Twitch much anymore, man. Twitch is it's tough, man. Streaming is tough business, but it's fun and it's enjoyable, honestly. But it's really tough.
Yeah, if you guys want to get into that and you're watching this on YouTube, it's just Eric ___ on Twitter.
I love Twitch, man. I loved it, honestly. I still love it, honestly. I just feel like, my laptop sometimes OBS isn't working right. And that's like, when your laptop isn't working right, man, in OBS, it's like, it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's, you're like, what the hell? Why is it skipping like this? And it's,
Make sure you tell Rev that so he understands when like I'm having issues getting this thing going. Like, it's not my fault. It happens to everybody.
Hey, I know. I've done it. I'm with you.
Rev's got the high quality gear, man. I can tell.
Oh yeah. All right, Eric, how much time you got, brother? How much time do you got?
Man, wait, can we do 9:35? What do you think?
Yeah. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah. Well, if we're 9:35, I want to get your Super Bowl opinions, picks, discussions before you go. So we'll skip ahead. Rev, if you're okay to stick around afterwards, we'll talk about the coaching stuff and the Eagles. But
yeah, I'm done.
Eric, Eagles, Chiefs, who you got? What do you think? Give me the opinions on the game.
Man, I wish I had, look, this is nasty work, man. Okay. But I wish I had an Eagles flag right now.
Oh,
gross. I'd be waving. You know what I'm saying? This is gross. This is gross stuff, man. I'm rooting for the Eagles. I got no remorse about it. And look, man, I'm biased. I want to see the Chiefs get curb stomped. I just do. I feel like they're America's media darlings. They got Michael Jordan over there at quarterback. Everybody wants to see him win. They got Andy Reid.
All right, Tony.
They got perfect picture. And this is, look, the Eagles fans, don't get me wrong. I don't think Eagles fans deserve it. But dude, do I really want to see Patrick Mahomes get another ring? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Joe Burrow can at least catch him and say, hey, Mahomes, look, we both got one ring. Now what? You know what I'm saying?
All right, so that's your heart, right? Your heart just said that whole thing. What does the 6 inches between your ears say?
Okay, all right. The 6 inches between the ears, man. I do look. I think the Chiefs have a really good team. Okay, and when I'm saying a good team, I'm saying quarterback, tight end, offensive line. I like Isaiah Pacheco, the running back there they got in the 6th or 7th round.
He's a stud.
They have a monster in Chris Jones. He absolutely took over our game. He's a beast. Then they got Frank Clark. They got George Karlaftis on the other end. Then they got Noddy on the inside as well, too. Then they got Willie Gay at linebacker. The Eagles are a better team, man. Eagles have the best roster in football, I believe. They got Darius Slay. They got Brad Berry. They got freaking – the linebackers aren't that good. But the D-line's are really good for the Eagles.
Really good.
Really good, yeah.
Good. These guys, look, these guys literally had 70 sacks, right? 15 to 20 more sacks more than the next team. Literally. Like, they got Jeez, Brandon Graham. He's got 12 sacks.
Hassan
He's
Reddick
like-
was unblockable last week. Unblockable.
Oh, Brandon Graham's like 34. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, the Eagles team is really good, and I think the thing about the Eagles that will pose a really big threat to the Chiefs, they don't have familiarity with the Eagles. The run game's going to be really good for the Eagles, and that Eagles offensive line, one of the best lines in football, man.
Oh yeah. If not the best. Yeah.
If Chris Jones doesn't take over that game or the D-line doesn't get home, we beat the Chiefs, man. If they can't get home, if they can't contain Jalen Hurts from running, if they can't stop Miles Sanders from running, and if they have to play single high safety with 2 rookie cornerbacks, I don't see it happening, man. You can't play too high against these guys. They're gonna run the ball, and they're really good at it. So I just think that it's a mismatch, man, from that perspective. But they got Mahomes, man, so you always have a chance.
That's what I was
With
going to say.
Michael
That's
Jordan.
the one wild card there.
Yep.
Hey, Michael Jordan's the X factor. He's the
Right.
X factor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got Mike, man. They got a chance.
Hey, maybe one last question before you go, Eric. And whether it's season time or off season time, it's football always. Like the season's over for both of us. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we're already off season. I don't care about the Super Bowl. Who cares? I'm a hater. You're a hater.
May the Eagles
I'm
lose.
Yeah, like misery loves company. So we can't wait for the draft. We can't wait for part of the off season, the upcoming year training camp. What do the Bengals need to do to maybe get over the hump? They were really close last year, and to be honest with you, it was a miracle playing way for Matthew Stafford to just totally put his team on his back and just will his team to win. And if it wasn't for that, like the Bengals win that game, easily.
I'll tell you,
that's football, man.
Yeah,
so what's that? How are we gonna get the Bengals over there? How can we get Burrow? Bro, 27 years without a playoff win or whatever that was, or 17 years, or I can't remember.
That Super Bowl
Bengals,
that's a sore
Bengal.
Still.
I know, but Bengal fans in the street celebrating 100,000, 100K, coach, like in the street saying we deserve this, like finally. And now you're back to back, like making a run at it, guys. You guys are close, bro. What do we got to do to put the Bengals over the top,
man? So first of all, you got to take care of the guys that you got in house, right? Let's see who we're keeping, who we're not keeping. You probably can't keep Jesse Bates. If you can, hurrah. But you just drafted Dax Hill last year, who is very talented, and I want to see him play. So let's let Dax go, man. He's probably going to go to the Eagles or maybe Cowboys. I don't know. Hopefully the NFC. Retain Von Bell. Add another DB. I don't know if it'll be a veteran maybe in the draft. Try to add an interior pass rusher, a veteran. Maybe a Javon Hargrave, which I know he'll be a free agent coming up this year. Maybe he'll come to Cincy, get on this ring chase. And then you have to. So what? And I'll make it quick, but you have to, if you're the Bengals, you have to solidify up front. You can't go if you go back and you watch both of these games, guys. We were a guard away from beating the Rams in the Super Bowl. Jamar Chase is wide open on the right side. He beat
Aaron Donald.
He beat David Ramsey, and Aaron Donald swims by the guard and makes the play on Joe Burrow in the backfield. You have to ensure. I don't care if you draft 2 old linemen in this draft, right? Draft a kid out of NDSU. Draft a kid out of NDSU and maybe DeJuan
All
Jones.
7 rounds. We're taking 7 O-linemen.
Double dip, baby.
You
Double
draft
dip.
2
I
O-linemen,
like that.
bro. Then the rest guys are skill guys. You see what I'm saying? You draft a tight end in the first round. Maybe you get Michael Mayer. Maybe you get Kincaid, the kid out of San Diego State. Maybe you add a receiver there for insurance to back up behind Boyd. Because I think if the Bengals can keep T, you lose Tyler Boyd. So you have to have a backup at number 3. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. But, yeah, that's what they got to do, man. Beef up the trenches on both sides of the ball. Add a couple, sprinkle a couple skill guys here, maybe a premier tight end here or there. Maybe if Gronkowski wants to come back and play one more season with Cincy, he loves Joe Burrow.
If baby Gronk is there in the draft, the Cowboys better take him before the Bengals get a shot. That's all I got
Man.
to say.
If baby Gronk makes it to 28, man, I'm telling you, I'm gonna cry. You know, because I would love to see him in Cincy, but I know he's a beast, man.
He's a stud.
But last year, look, tight ends have not been getting taken in the first round like that, man, unless they're like a Kyle Pitts. So,
and you guys like taking tight ends in the draft.
We love tight ends, man. We drafted Tyler Eifert and Jermaine Gresham in the first round. So it very well could be the case, man. I think if you get a dynamic tight end, I love Hayden Hurst. But if you get a tight end like Michael Mayer, man, look, I'm not going to go back to it, but the AFC Championship in the corner of the end zone, to throw that barrel somehow throws to Hayden Hurst in the corner, and he's like diving, but his hands hit the ball. Michael Mayer ain't dropping that ball, man. That's a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? So the game they're so close, and they have to capitalize in these next 2 years. The Bengals have to win a ring these next 2 years. To me, that's how close they are.
Like Rev said, you keep swinging. Like Michael Irvin said, you keep swinging. You keep coming back. You keep swinging.
Bro.
Yep.
Keep swinging, brother.
Eric, thank you so much for hanging out.
Yeah,
Rev,
man.
I'm trying to get him out of here. Yeah. Did you
I
have something else?
Yeah, no worries,
bro.
guys.
I can't be good. Well, I'll let you go, bro.
I gotta go, man. I gotta put the baby to sleep. I know the guy put my daughter to sleep. It's my turn tonight. My wife's looking at me like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
Mama.
We better get you
sorry,
out of here.
Mama.
Eric, thank you so much
man.
for hanging out. Again, that's just Eric _. I popped it in the chat on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube or somewhere else, just Eric _. on Twitter. Go check him out. I think me and Rev will be right back. So give us just a second. Right. We'll see you then.
Fellas, I appreciate you all having me on.
All right, real quick break there. Appreciate Eric stopping by. Glad he was here. Hardy in the chat. What's going on? So Rev, I really wanted to talk to Eric about this, but I guess I'll settle with you. I really felt this weekend was like such a tease. Like I tweeted this out that it could have just been a great weekend of football, right? The championship games, and it's just first the Purdy gets hurt. And then Josh Johnson gets hurt, and they don't have a quarterback. So the Eagles are just like, we can hand this ball off the rest of the game and win. So, like, that game was a disappointment. The Kansas City game ending on a penalty was just, you wanted overtime there. You wanted overtime there to have, just to get to see Burrow versus Mahomes. But the Eagles game was super disappointing, mostly because I hate the Eagles, and I really wanted them to lose, and the Niners didn't even get a chance. I'm okay with this game slipping through the cracks, so we didn't talk about it with Eric because there really isn't a whole lot to talk about. Like it wasn't a good game. But I do want to ask you, if Purdy plays that whole game, and I know all the Eagles fans are out here saying this, that their offense scored 31 points on that defense. But if Purdy stays in the game, Rev, what do you think? Does the game go differently? I mean, it's got to go a little differently at least, right?
Well, it's going to be a better game for sure. I mean, now, we do pick'ems for a reason. I had the Eagles winning that game. And so, I still think the Eagles do win that game. But it was pretty intriguing because they're, still close score of the game. You saw, even with the backup, you saw them move the ball a little bit and CMC run that touchdown in. And so, obviously, with Purdy in there, that gives you a solid chance. It's a different game. It's a totally different game. The pressure is completely off of you if the offense, the opposing offense isn't going to score a touchdown. And so they can sit there and say they scored 30-something points on the number one
The
defense.
defense had to let down,
No,
right? The defense had to let down when they
no,
knew they didn't have a chance. It's
no.
just
It's
human
it's
nature.
the morale,
Exactly.
of the
That's what I mean
game.
by let down. Their emotions were no longer in the
Yeah,
game.
it was, it was over. It was over the moment that he come around, and it wasn't a dirty play, but the moment he come around and you saw it, and he come out of the game, it was just like, man, this ain't good. This is over. And there's no fear, there's no threat. The offense
Mm-hmm.
can basically say, don't turn the ball over. You don't even have to pass the ball. We'll just run the ball. And that's what they did, really.
Yep.
That's what they did. They just ran the ball. And you can say it, flip it, however you want to, but the Niners even knew that it was over, and the defense just can't stay on the field all the time. You can't go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out.
Absolutely.
And so I was just so disappointed. So disappointed. Yeah, I didn't want the Eagles to win,
We
but
were robbed of
at
good
the same
football. We were
time,
robbed of good football.
I want to see a championship game. I don't want to see TCU in Georgia. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know how disgusted I am by that. Like, I want to see good football. I don't want to see the Giants and the Eagles. And so, yeah, did they deserve the number one seed? Yeah, they worked hard for that. They earned that for the season. But this playoff run has been the weakest playoff run I've ever seen in my life.
Easiest road
Like,
to the Super Bowl ever. Ever.
ever, not even close, coach. Like, I have zero respect at all, because it is so hard to win in the playoffs. So hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to get to the Super Bowl,
That's Joe Burrow
there's
this
teams
year.
there's teams that have never been, ever. And because, you get a bad luck of the draw, whatever that looks like. And I mean, even for us Cowboy fans, like, we haven't been back there even to a championship game, and for how long?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's tough, it's hard. And so when you see a team come in out of nowhere and just get an easy draw like that, you're just going, man, I sure wish my team could do that. And so, it just kind of feels like this whole thing is coming full circle. It looks like this is Eagles, an Eagles Super Bowl to lose or to win, however you want to look at that. Like, it seems like it's their year, based on just some of the luckiness of their playoff run. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm just disappointed, Coach. At the end of the day, I just want a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
give me a good game. I'm just a football fan.
See, I'm not a
I'm just
believer
a
in this
football
team
fan.
of destiny stuff. Like you're just saying the Eagles are. I've seen too many teams of destiny get their faces kicked in a championship game to believe in that stuff. I remember that Notre Dame team that had Manti Te'o on it that played against Alabama. They had
Yeah,
all kinds
yeah.
of lucky.
I
I mean, I
remember
say
that.
lucky. They say close wins. The Pittsburgh missing the field goal to beat them at the end of the game. But in any case, they were a team of destiny, and what happened when they ran up against Alabama in the championship? Like, here's your destiny. Its name is
Yeah,
Eddie Lacy.
yeah.
Like, so I'm not a believer in that. We'll talk about Super Bowl picks next week, but I don't know if I can pick the Eagles. It's going to take some real thought to pick the Eagles if it happens. But I kind of want to change the subject a little bit, Rev. And
Me
before the
too.
season, yeah. Let me get that bad taste out of my lick.
Yeah.
Before the season, everybody was talking about Mike McCarthy getting fired at the end of the year, right? And one coach was mentioned that was going to take his spot. Who was that? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's
It's
not.
the same
He's
guy
not a
that.
Cowboy.
Yeah, it's the same guy that we've been talking about for years upon years, ever since he left Dallas.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think?
So,
Denver gave up a late first, and a second round pick for him. Like, are you giving up a first and second round pick for Sean Payton?
yeah, that's hard. It's hard to give up that high of a pick for a coach, you know. But when you got a talented team and you got the roster looks good, and from top to bottom, you're kind of looking at the Broncos team as a whole, and you're going, man, that's a pretty nice roster right there. Even the Chargers, and here's a bigger question: does Sean Payton, if what's his name, Bailey or whoever the Chargers coach is, if he gets kicked to the curb, is that even more of a intriguing coaching job? We'll
Mhm.
never know. But the Broncos roster is pretty solid. Man,
Really good.
their defense
Really
is
good.
pretty stout. They have playmakers everywhere. That their running game is pretty lacking, but I mean Russell Wilson, he's had probably the worst year of his career by far. I've
Mhm.
never seen such a dramatic change in a pretty decent quarterback. And so, if there's anybody that can come and fix it, it should be Sean Payton. Like he's a coach, he's a quarterback guy, he's an offensive guy, and so if you're going all in, it seems like that's what these teams are doing here of late. They're going all in,
Not the Cowboys.
and
Yeah.
not the Cowboys. That's different for us. But you see the Rams, you see the Eagles. Like there's more temptation, I guess you could say, to go all in. And so, man, if you're a believer, man, pull the trigger. That's where I'm at. Like it's kind of like picking a quarterback early.
Mhm.
If you think that quarterback is your guy, pull the trigger. Because if he ends up turning into something and you change your mind or whatever, it's like how many people are just so mad at themselves that Patrick Mahomes, went like number 10 in the draft or something.
Yep.
It's like you passed over him, a solid player. And so I don't know, man. That's hard for me, but I'm a Sean Payton guy. For the Dallas Cowboys, what other coaches are out there? And if it's not Mike McCarthy, would you give up that high of a draft pick for Sean Payton out of all the other coaches in the carousel? Be honest with you, I probably would. I probably would because I'm desperate. I'm looking for somebody to get me over the hump. I'm sure that you have different thoughts. What are your thoughts, Coach?
So I know that I've kind of talked about, I've talked about Russell Wilson, that I feel like he's washed, and I've talked about not
Yeah,
wanting to give up draft picks for a coach, any coach, but I think that their unique situation dictates that they had to do whatever it takes to save Russell Wilson, right? And it kind of you hinted at this, or you said it outright, that if anybody can save Russell Wilson, it's Sean Payton. And I
yeah,
feel like he's an aging quarterback. His arms kind of lost a little bit of the strength that it once had. Not, and I wonder if he knows that, and that's why his year was so bad. But Sean Payton's a guy that put up insane numbers with a guy with a noodle arm that was accurate, that just didn't have the
yeah. It's
arm
so true.
strength, right? So
It's so
Russell
true.
Wilson has a fully guaranteed contract. He's not going anywhere for a long time. Yeah, you got to figure it out, right? You can't cut him. You can't get another quarterback because you're paying him so much. So you had to do whatever it took to figure out a way to save Russell Wilson. So when you're saying a late first and a second round pick, if that saves Russell Wilson, you'll give it up every day, right? And so you
Yeah,
kind of said this too. You did what you had to do to get him. And I think that if I were in their shoes, I probably would have given up the first and second. And it's against everything I am to give up two picks that high for a coach.
oh,
I didn't think I would
right.
ever say that it's okay, but they have a very unique situation that says, yeah, it probably was the right call.
You
So,
think
but
they're definitely regretting on Russell
oh,
Wilson, like
absolutely.
that
How could they
trade
not? How,
entirely? Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So they've dug themselves a hole, and they're either digging deeper or they're just trying to shoot their shot right here and say it is what it is, because you're losing three number one picks now for two
Hmm.
people, and one of them don't even play football. So
Yeah,
that's a
it
lot.
hurts them losing that
That's a
that
lot.
that fifth pick in the draft, right? Seattle
Yeah.
picking fifth. I mean, that's got to grind their gears.
Oh. Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's
And
nothing
then you
worse
got the
than
team
having a
a team
terrible
like the
season and you don't even get a good draft pick out of it.
right. And then you got a team like the Eagles who are playing in the Super Bowl
Hmm.
and gave it up all to go, and man, where are they picking in the draft? Like they hit a home run, man.
It's like
Like
11,
props
right?
to
Don't
them.
they have like the 11th pick in the draft or
Yeah.
something like that? But
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been
It's like
jealous
wow.
of the Eagles are super aggressive in trades. And I wish we were more like that. They get players in their last year, whatever, draft picks for players that they don't want anymore necessarily. Like they're super aggressive in trades, kind of like the Rams were, but they didn't spend as much. They get stuff back as well. I like Howie Roseman, the trades he makes. He seems like he always wins the trades he makes.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of makes me sick. I mean, Jerry Jones has changed.
Mm.
You
No,
know,
he has no
it seems
aggression
like,
left.
yeah, it's just his whole mentality has changed. So I just don't understand. I don't understand. I guess what he knows is that we're such fickle fans, like we're going to be discontent no matter what.
That's
And,
true. It is true.
so, but if, if Jerry knew, like back then, like if we're close, he would have sold everything just
He
to get it.
did.
Like he
Ask
went
Deion
after Deion
Sanders.
Sanders. Yeah, like he would do. And here's a perfect year. And he saw how close he was. Let me ask you this question, and maybe this will make sense this way. What changed, coach? Last year, Mike McCarthy at the end of the season is on the verge of getting fired. Like after that playoff loss, Jerry is hot. Like Jerry don't even want to talk to him about it. He's so angry. And he doesn't say anything. And I think he's really struggling with keeping Mike McCarthy around. And so we come into this offseason completely just knowing that, hey, it's win or go home, like for Mike McCarthy. And
Yep.
we get into this playoff round again. And as soon as the game is over, yeah, as soon as the game was over, they're asking him the same question. And his whole tune changed.
Yep.
Like what are your thoughts on what is your thinking behind what changed in a matter of a year?
I mean, I would like to tell you that I know what Jerry Jones is thinking at any given moment, but I want to say if I had to put a guess out there, right? And this is pure conjecture. There's no rumors out there or anything like that. I think Mike McCarthy had Kellen Moore set up as the scapegoat prior to that game. I think that it was set up beforehand, and there's rumors out there that they weren't getting along at the end or whatever. But I just feel like Mike McCarthy somehow shifted this blame off himself. And I mean, credit to Mike McCarthy. We lost our starting quarterback for 5 weeks, and we still were the 5 seed, right? MC Kraken, what's up, man? So we're still the 5 seed, and we lost our starting quarterback for 5 games. So credit to Mike McCarthy. I think maybe that plays in McCarthy's favor. But maybe it's also a matter of we are close, and when you change head coaches, a lot of times it's a step back, right? No matter what head coach you get, if we got Sean Payton, maybe it's not. But usually when you get a new head coach, it's a step back before a step forward. And maybe that plays into it too. And this is all just wild guesses, right? Do you have an opinion on it? You got a guess?
Oh, I do. And that's why I asked the question, because I'm not sure what everybody else is thinking or saying. I mean, Jerry Jones is very intentional. He's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants. That's probably the best way to say it. Like,
yep,
Jerry Jones knows what he wants, and he says things publicly that a lot of people would look at him and say, "Man, he's just old, senile, crazy guy."
there's always a reason.
But he uses his words just in such a way, because he always has. He has used the media to communicate a lot of times. What I truly believe what happened is we came into this season, and I think they had the front office had made plans as far as how they wanted to do this. And I'm not sure if Mike McCarthy was fully on board, but he was there. He was going to be that guy. And so they made decisions, and they put him into the year, And what I think is they got mid-season and realized, boy, we screwed up. We screwed up because this team was good enough to make a run. This team was good enough to go to the Super Bowl.
You don't think they thought that at the beginning of the year is what you're saying?
I don't think, because they were subtracting talent. Subtraction is not addition. And that's the language they kept using in the offseason. Oh, we got to make these cuts. We believe in our younger players. We got to get these guys, blah, blah, blah. And then when you get into the season, man, the players balled out. And the coaches, for the most part, for what Mike McCarthy had, he did a good job. And you get midpoint through the season, and you hear all this OBJ talk, and we're trying to make trades, and we're trying to add talent. and we're shuffling offensive linemen around, and players are getting hurt, and we can't stop the running game, and we're trying to add pieces to the roster, and the problem is there's nobody left. There's nobody left to add. You know, even after trade deadline. And so I think for the most part, I think they screwed up, and they knew they screwed up. And so when they come into this end season game, they realized they didn't have the talent as these other teams did. I mean, you look at the Eagles, you look at the Niners, and you're good enough to beat these teams, but you don't have the physical talent to compete with these teams. And again, I think we beat the 49ers if Pollard doesn't get hurt. I really do.
Sure would have helped.
I think we beat that team. And, you know, but as soon as he fell out of the game was over. We knew it was. And it became basically Dak trying to do everything by himself with one receiver.
Well, the offense kind of shut it down at that point. Once we lost Pollard, the offense kind of shut it down. They knew it was over, except Dak. Dak did everything he could. I know he threw 2 picks, but that's what comes with trying to win a game, Superman style.
Yeah, every single time. So as soon as the game's over, I think Jerry Jones knew that. I do. And maybe Mike McCarthy sits down and kind of shows Kellen Moore's inability to adjust mid-game. I don't know. I'm just throwing speculation there. But, you know, I saw a thing on Twitter, Coach. This was years ago. And, you know, Amari Cooper's sitting there talking to Dak, and Dak calls the play. And Amari Cooper complains to Dak, and he goes, you know, the play was a curl route again. And Amari Cooper's like, for real? Like, we really going to run this? And Dak was like, just run the play. And then Dak audibled in mid-play, and basically sends him on the go route, and he beats, you know, Amari beats him for the long touchdown. And so it's like
stop and go, right? It was a stop and go. You hit him with the stop and go instead. I remember that.
Yep. The defense have been playing up. They're playing tight, and this wasn't nothing new. We knew coming into the Niners game that's what they were going to do, and so
Kalex,
it's like,
what's up, man?
It's just crazy to me, man. I think that was where Kellen Moore had left, and we had talked about this, Coach. We're both happy about this decision. I like Kellen Moore as far as his potential to be something good. I just don't think he's good with Dak. You know, what are your thoughts on Kellen Moore?
I think he's as happy as we are to be out of Dallas, honestly. Like, he gets to go to the Chargers, who have an immense amount of talent, and they underperformed last year. So, like, at the needles pointing up for him, right? I've said this a few times on stream that if you're going to hire Mike McCarthy, you let him call plays. So I think to an extent, Kellen Moore was kind of set up for failure always. I didn't like his play calling. Never have. Didn't ever think he used Dak the right way. Like, we've beat this to death on here several times. Like, he tried to use Dak as a drop back passer like he was Tom Brady or something. Doesn't take advantage of his skills. And I used to say it all the time when he was getting pressured. Like, move him around. Move the pocket. Move the pocket. And when he's moving and he gets those the crossers coming with him, he throws those passes more accurately than any pass on the field. Why we didn't do that more, I think that's on Kellen Moore. And it goes to your point that him and Dak weren't on the same page, or he didn't use Dak correctly. So I'm absolutely with that. I also think he was set up for failure. So that goes to your point that I like Kellen Moore. I hope he does well out there. I'm also happy that he's fired. So take that for what it's worth. I think he's happy to be out of Dallas, happy to have Justin Herbert. Really, he's just got to show improvement over what happened this year, and he's going to do just fine out there. So,
yeah, he's going into a roster, a team, a quarterback where it maybe fits what he does better, you know, because he's got a good passing quarterback that can make every throw.
Herbert can scoot too, though.
And he can run, and you got Eckler, you know, and so, yeah, maybe you don't want to run the ball a whole lot, but, you know, Kellen don't want to run the ball. And here's Eckler, who you can kind of pass the ball to him. So I think he will be successful. Like, you come into a place where you got a good quarterback like that, you're going to do well. You'll do fine. So, and we play the Chargers next year, Coach. So that'll be fun.
Well, let's make sure we cover the stop routes, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, one
Play
last
up
thing.
on
We'll
everybody.
talk about this real quick, Ref. That's something fun to leave off on. I was I don't know if you watched any of it last night, the Pro Bowl skills competition stuff, man, but I really enjoyed the dodgeball competition. And before you talk about it, I want to let you know that I am a university intramural dodgeball champion. Like I don't remember, it was
What?
like 3 years running we were. Yeah.
For real?
So I just want you to know that you're talking to a guy that like as good as it gets, like in college playing dodgeball. I kid. We had when I was in college, I had a job as a ref for intramural sports. Right, I made I don't know $5 an hour to go ref intramural games. So we rotated sports. So I officiated all the games at some point. By officiated, I mean like I didn't really officiate. I hung out and made sure the game started and ended on time. Right. Can I dodge a wrench? Absolutely. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. But no, we had a guy that wasn't able to play football. That we had a lot of like college athletes that did it, right? So we had a guy that wasn't able to play football because his grades weren't right, but he would play dodgeball. He was on our dodgeball team, and he was a quarterback for. I went to UCF, right? So he was a quarterback at UCF that couldn't play at the time. I don't know if he ever actually played again. I don't think he did, but. So basically all we did, and like I can catch pretty well. So all I did was hang out and catch the ball and give it to him, and he would just rifle the dang ball at him. And so every time we played, it was hey, just don't get out. Catch the ball, hand it to him. He's gonna rifle whoever it is. You've never seen a guy throw a dodgeball like that guy. But anyway, getting back to it. Did you watch any of the dodgeball, the AFC NFC dodgeball stuff?
I did not. I did not, and I'm a little bummed because I was kind of hoping I can watch the replay, and I knew immediately that I had missed it because they had replay stuff on TikTok and other social media platforms and stuff, and it's like I'm trying to watch the replay because I know they did some of those fun skill challenges and stuff. I know Sunday's coming, so I guess the whole format has completely changed, for better or for worse. I'm not too sure, but I think we all can agree that the Pro Bowl was pretty much a wasted game. It's no longer the way it was like back in 2010 where you had Peyton Manning out there, and they're scoring like
Sean
40
Taylor.
something points. At least it was entertaining, to where it was somewhat of football and not too in touch. So I'm a little interested to kind of see what kind of competitiveness they brought to it. But, we grew up with the skill challenges where, and you'll remember this, the quarterback did the farthest throw.
Oh yeah.
And then you did like the fastest man and some of those things, man. I really liked that. Like, that was my more favorite part of some of the Pro Bowl stuff.
I'll never forget Larry Allen on the bench press. I don't know if you remember this one.
Yeah,
but like Larry Allen went first.
In Hawaii.
Yeah, Larry Allen
Hawaii.
went first of all the dudes competing and put, I don't even, what was it, like 48 reps?
44.
44, is that what it was?
Yeah,
and Joey
so.
Porter, like 100 pounds lighter, goes up there and puts up like 35, and he's like, that would be awesome if you weren't here. Larry Allen, just absolutely insane.
Destroyed it.
Nobody even can. I think Joey Porter finished second with like 35. It was absolutely insane. I'll never forget that, man. But no, I remember the Troy Aikman absolutely killing the accuracy where they would chalk the nose of the ball and they would have like the golf cart with the target on it. Yeah. Oh man, those were the best.
And I wish they would bring it back. And again, you don't have to play the actual game, but just bring back some of those competitions that everybody wants to see. Like, who doesn't want to see Patrick Mahomes throw a deep ball?
Yeah,
let's
see him and Josh Allen out there. Let's see who's got it.
I saw Justin Herbert on his pro day get on his knees and throw a 60-yard pass on his knees.
Insane.
Like, oh, it's incredible. It's incredible.
What's that like, man? Like, to be able to chuck, I'd just chuck footballs all the time, man. If I was like, hey, you there in the McDonald's parking lot, watch this. Poof!
Yeah, absolutely. All the time. I'd just be showing off if I could. So, yeah, I'm a little intrigued on what Sunday's going to look like. I really want to rewatch what happened last night. When they moved the Pro Bowl away from Hawaii, they started going from city to city, and then they went to Orlando. I don't know, for maybe it seemed like 5 years. Maybe it wasn't 5 years.
I saw it in
Maybe 3 years.
Miami. I went to a Pro Bowl in Miami.
Okay, but me and my boys, I went at least 3 times
Did you?
there, and oh yeah, they had the Pro Bowl activities and practice
Yep.
all
Yep.
week long there at the ESPN complex. Oh man, it was a blast. Like all kinds of different fans. The players were there having fun. They were practicing. This hat right here. You'll see a signature right here, Coach. That's actually LVE signature
Nice.
right here. It was his rookie year, and so me and Jace actually went there to that practice facility. He's huge, bro. He's like 6'4".
yeah.
The dude's a monster. And all I remember, I'm just not that guy that's gonna act like a crazy fan and go try to get your autograph. But all I know is the crowd was so tight around LVE, and everybody's going, oh, kind of
Yep.
cheering him
Howling
on.
at him.
What I did was I just gave Jace my hat. I said, bro, just crawl in there. I said, just go get in there tight and then get right in front of him. I said, he's
He's
going to give
sign
you
the
your
kids.
autograph.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's what Jace did. Like, he literally called in there and got his signature. Dude,
That's
he was
awesome.
so fired up. It was great. So, I like it that they're kind of moving around. I think it's in Vegas now, isn't it?
Yep. It's in Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. This version of it's in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
So-
I was that guy. I'm not anymore. We were at that Cowboys game last year, and people were trying to get autographs and up against the fence, and I was like standing back behind it. Tweet was in there trying to get autographs. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't need his autograph that bad. But
Yeah.
I hung back. But back in the day at Texas Stadium, I don't know if you ever went to a football game at Texas Stadium, but
I did.
They
The
had
old
the-
stadium. Yes.
yeah, they had
Yeah.
the players' parking lot
Yeah.
was blocked off, but
In Arlington.
Yep, in Irving, the new one's in Arlington.
Irving.
Yep.
That's right.
But they had it blocked off with like waist high thingies, big plastic thingies that blocked off the players' parking lot. So Jason Witten came out, and I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot. So I jumped people were lined up on the wall right there. So I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot. So I just like slowly lowered myself over the barrier. And, all the players' families are in there, so they're trying to get players' autographs too. So I kind of just got in there with them. And I'm in there in the little group around Jason Witten, and a security guard taps me on the shoulder, and they're like, "Who are you with, sir?" And I was like, I should have just made up a name, right? It should have been like Drew Bledsoe or something. Like, I don't remember who was our. We weren't very good then, but I don't remember who the quarterback was. But like, I'm a tall, skinny, dark-haired guy. Drew Bledsoe probably would have got it. I'm like, I'm Drew Bledsoe's nephew. But no, they escorted me out immediately after that. So I did not get Jason Witten's autograph, but I gave it a try.
You
dang
tried. You tried. Yeah. You shot your shot.
Oh man, they were
Yeah,
cool about it.
good stuff, man.
Honestly, the security was cool about it. They were like, "Nice try, man." I was like, "I know." I jumped the fence. They're like, "Yep, it's all right. Just go jump it again." I tell you what, just one last thing before we sign off, because it reminds me of this and it makes me sad. We were the last ones left. There was like hardly any cars left. Terry Glenn comes out, and I have a picture somewhere. I have to remember. It's hung up in here somewhere. But me and Tweet painted up like we were young, early 20s, painted up blue and silver, star on our face, whatever. Terry Glenn comes out, one of the last people there. Most of the crowd's gone home. We're still hanging out because there's still cars in the parking lot, right? I don't know if you remember when Terry Glenn was a Cowboy, man, but nicest guy I've ever freaking met. He died in a car wreck a few years back.
I do.
But what makes me the most sad is he came over there. He was talking with us for a good 20 minutes, just BSing with us, man. Him and his wife gigantic, pregnant, man, hands her our camera. It was pre like cell phone camera days, so it's like a rolly film, disposable camera. Hands her, takes lots of pictures with us and everything. Terry Glenn, man, probably the nicest guy I've ever ran into in like a situation like that, man. Makes me sad thinking back on it, man, because his wife was there BSing. They're talking about where they're going to dinner and all that. But in any case, now that I've ruined the mood, and on that super positive note, Rev, anything you want to leave off with, man?
No, man. No, I'm just I'm sad football's coming to a close, but I'm proud of our season, for what it was. In the moment where you lose, you're just bummed and sad, and you think about it 24/7, and you're upset and angry, and you want to blame somebody. But at the end of the day, man, I thought our players just overall kind of elevated the
Hmm.
circumstance and just had a great year. And so, yeah, it wasn't what we were dreaming of. And at the end of the day, you ask the question, were we good enough? And the answer is yes. Yes, we were good enough. We just fell short.
Keep swinging.
And that's just
Keep swinging.
yeah, that's just how it is. So, it'll be cool to kind of look in the upcoming weeks and kind of see how we can maybe talk about how we can fix this roster
Hmm.
and talk about future coaches. I know we got some extra coaches over from Seattle or somebody, some old school guys, and we can kind of look into them and kind of see who they coach for and played with, and
A lot of football still to
those
talk about,
things.
man.
And
We're just getting started
yeah,
on off season talk, man. We're not even
off
really
season
there
talk.
yet.
Yep, yep.
So especially the
So
draft. When we get to the draft, we're gonna have a lot of fun.
oh, a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. Maybe do some mock drafts, cowboy mock drafts, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, Super Bowl's coming up. It stinks that we're not there and our rivals are. But again, I just want to have a good game. Just want to see a good game. So you know,
In the
uh,
end, we're football
just
fans.
looking forward to this week, man. Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. So I had fun today, Coach. I appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome as always, man. We'll see you next Friday. Take her easy, man.
All right, brother. Later on.